As we continue to chat Jobs Day and the state of AI, we're joined by Jefferies' Aniket, Shah. Aniket, thank you so much for joining us. Taking a look at what we saw with the jobs report today, we saw 311,000 jobs that were added. We saw unemployment tick up a little bit. But AI is also it also plays a role when it comes to people's sort of nervousness about their jobs as well and about holding those jobs. So what can you tell us on that front?
Thank you. It's really great to be here. We have been looking at the future of work now for the last couple of years. And since the start of COVID, a lot of business leaders and investors have been thinking about whether people will be working inside the office, whether they're going to be working remotely. And that was, of course, a major topic for business leaders and for investors. A few months ago, with the advent of ChatGPT, we have started a whole new chapter of this saga, because ChatGPT has fundamentally impacted the imagination and the nervousness of many office workers. And what we're seeing in our survey work, in our conversations with investors and business leaders, is that workers are worried about automation replacing their jobs and AI replacing their jobs. And if they actually have used ChatGPT, they are even more worried about that. And they're looking to upskill their work, and they're looking to upskill themselves. And that has all sorts of investment implications for businesses and investors.
Aniket, there's been so much talk and hand-wringing about all of this. Like, you've probably used ChatGPT. I've used ChatGPT. It ain't doing my job. I mean, yes, at the margins, there are some tasks it can do. But I don't know. Is this whole thing, I understand that people are worried about it. I get that, and I understand that concern. But is it a little overblown?
People have been concerned for 300 years about technology replacing their jobs. This is nothing new. The Luddite movement was, 200 plus years ago. And since then, the economy has kept creating more and more jobs, and technology has actually just helped us become more productive. And it's helped us do the things that we don't want to do and focus on the things that we do want to do. So I'm always very nervous to say this time is different. What I will say, though, is that ChatGPT did strike a nerve. I think the immediacy of the technology, its ability to potentially replace a lot of high-paying white-collar jobs, has also been slightly different than other types of technologies and automation plans. And by the way, we're operating in such tight labor markets that this could be, that could help, frankly, kickstart the rollout of ChatGPT and technologies like it even more. So if you ask me, I'm not necessarily concerned about mass unemployment because of AI and automation. I think we will create new and different and more creative jobs, but it will require a change in skills for workers. And it'll require companies to think about how do they use their resources differently.
And Aniket, you just touched on something really interesting, which is the sort of class bias inherent in this latest Luddite craze, if you will, or technology craze. That is, the Industrial Revolution affected manufacturing workers and farmers, right? This here, we're talking about higher income workers, information workers, white collar workers, which is a really fascinating twist. I don't even know what my question is about that. I just think that's a really fascinating observation, and there are some different implications based on that. Does that mean this is going to be managed better because there are different people paying attention to it?
Well, I don't know if it's going to be managed better, but it's certainly going to have much more attention from journalists and business leaders and investment strategists like myself, because it's impacting a different social class. And frankly, associated with that is just a different quantum of capital and of economic activity that this could impact, right? We're talking about the financial services industry. We're talking about media. These are multi-trillion dollar industries globally. So I think that's what makes it different. And I think what also is happening, as you know very well, is this is all happening at the same time that there is a rethink around higher education. There is a re-examination of whether colleges and universities are giving workers the skills that they need. As you know, over the last few years in the United States, from both presidents and both parties, Republican and Democrat, there has been a re-examination of whether the four-year university is actually giving the skills that we need. We've seen recently the governor of Pennsylvania has removed the college requirement to work for the state of Pennsylvania. We're seeing that as a trend that is evolving everywhere. So business leaders and governments are rethinking what are the skills that are needed, what are the ways people get those skills, and the AI discussion is part of that. I want to highlight one of the charts that you just put up right before, which is, I think, incredible. When workers saw ChatGPT as part of our survey, and if they were thinking about skilling themselves, a large percentage of those workers said, I'm actually going to use alternative educational efforts, not just college and higher education, in order to grow their skills. This is upskill and reskill resources. This is taking certification exams. This is internal corporate learning, which, by the way, is a $300 to $400 billion a year industry. This is taking a boot camp. And you add up all of that, it's much larger than the number of folks who say, you know what, I'm going to go and get a master's degree, or I'm going to go and get an MBA. And that to us is a big trend that we're just in the very early stages of, because college is becoming highly unaffordable for many workers, and there are better alternatives out there. And I say this as someone who teaches at a very prominent university here in New York, but I think we really need to rethink the future of education, and AI is going to be one of the key drivers to do so. And so,
Aniket, quickly, when you rethink that future of education, I mean, coding is something that my 13-year-old nephew is learning, but is coding now, if you're going to have everything automated, should he be learning coding?
The amazing thing about technologies like ChatGPT is they can basically learn how to code on their own. I mean, it is the self-learning element of AI, which I think is most interesting and potentially most transformational. So we have no idea of what will the skills of the future be, but I will say, as a manager in my day job and as someone who studies this topic deeply, the most important skill one can have is, can you learn a new skill? And I think the ability to learn new things and learn new things quickly is going to be a value that is going to be a skill that is highly valued in the job market going forward.
All right, Aniket, really fascinating stuff. Sorry, I was ruminating, and that's why I didn't thank you right away. Jefferies Global Head of ESG, Aniket Shah. I hope to talk to you again very soon on all of these really fascinating issues.
I look forward to it.
Thanks.